Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity to deliver my first speech as the member for Kororoit. It's a great honour that our community has given to me, and I am here because of you. I am here for you, and I promise that you can count on me to be your voice in Parliament House. Having a voice is powerful. It's a privilege. So many people do not have a voice when they should. Some communities have been fighting too long to have a voice. None more so than our First Nations people. I honour and I recognise the people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional owners of Victoria. I pay my respects to elders past, present and future, who have continuous connection to the land and the waterways of our community. I am proud of the steps that both the Andrews and Albanese governments are making to create a voice to Parliament for Indigenous people, to heal with truth-telling and with justice. And I look forward to making my own contributions to these incredible milestones. The West is full of significant places for its people. As one of the most culturally diverse electorates in the state, Kororoit is often the first place that people born overseas call home. Our community is richly populated with new migrants from Asia the subcontinent, Africa and Eastern Europe. During my months on the campaign trail, I loved getting to know the cultural, faith and community groups in our region. These groups provided everything from food to sport to advocacy, helping transition families into Australian life. They're essential to social cohesion and peaceful communities. Diversity is Kororoit and the West's greatest strength. But at times, it has also meant that it has been overlooked and under-resourced, especially when Labor is not in government. The Andrews government is changing that. Amongst the billions of dollars that have been invested in the West, it has invested $14.8 million into multicultural communities. And I plan to continue that trend in Kororoit, because I understand what it is like to have a name that no one else can pronounce, to have a parent whose first language is not English, and to feel othered by cultural heritage. Although, I must say, I am a deeply Aussie girl. I love my party pies and Vegemite, and I'm addicted to sport. Basketball is actually my sport of choice, and I was the captain of the senior VBR women's team for the Altona Gators. The truth is, though, my name hasn't always made things easy for me. However, I do think that it assisted with the development of my thick skin. Casual racism, monocultural leadership, subtle judging by name, colour and language, these are things that no Victorian should ever have to put up with. Not on public transport, not on the sports field, not in our schools, and not here in Parliament. Diversity matters here too, and it's incredibly important that our parliaments reflect the communities which we represent. I applaud the work that so many multicultural organisations do, supporting our diverse peoples and communities. I want them to know that they have a friend here. The West of Melbourne has a friend here. I am a lifelong Westie. I was born and raised in Altona. I attended schools in the western suburbs, studied a double degree, a Bachelor of Arts and Business at Victoria University. My first jobs as a teenager were in small businesses in the West, family-run restaurants, in retails and delivering local newspapers. And my first job in politics was working for the late Lynn Kosky in her Altona electorate office. I ran successfully for Hobsons Bay City Council, serving as the Deputy Mayor in the region, and I want to make mention of my many Hobsons Bay Council colleagues who are here tonight and who have supported me along the journey. The West has been my life and is in my soul. Being able to represent the West is a lifelong dream. My mum, Robin, was very dedicated to charity work and was recognised for it with a Victorian of the Year nomination and an International Peace Award. But while she was working for peace and security in the community, at home, things were far from safe. I am in awe of the strength that it took my mother to flee from a violent relationship with 2 kids in tow and to re-establish herself independently. Because of Mum's bravery, I did not have to live with family violence for long, But I know that this is not the case for so many women and children. And that is why the Andrews government's full implementation of the 227 Royal Commission recommendations and the record $3 billion investment into family violence means so much to me. Thank you. Mum raised myself and my big brother Robbie with a small intergenerational home, including my grandpa Beeper, who's sadly not with us today, and my gorgeous Uncle Ken. Mum poured everything into us. Robbie and I never wanted for anything. Mum was always a doer, volunteering at schools, at our basketball clubs, and more. She did all of this whilst being the sole breadwinner for our family. It was my mum you can blame for introducing me to the Labor Party. She took me out on the campaign trail when I was only tiny. We were letterboxing, we were handing out on election day, you name it. One of my earliest memories, however, as a child, was skipping home from Seaholme Primary School one day after Joan Kerner visited our school. I was only 12 years old at the time, but I was beyond impressed. With Joan, I could see that she made a difference, and I wanted to make a difference in our community as well. I've got to say, I skipped home from school, I told my mum, and she was thrilled. I became very active as a young Labor member of the Altona branch. The branch president at the time, and still to this day in fact, was the mighty John Ballestrino. As I know him, JB. JB became a very close friend and someone who I unconditionally trust. He's one of those incredible male leaders in our party who enjoy seeing Labor women succeed and working for them too. Through the Altona ALP branch, I got the sense of that enormous family which I had been missing. JB, my mum, and other volunteers would organise the big fundraiser that was the main event of the year, the Melbourne Cup Day ALP fundraiser. It would bring the entire Labor tribe together, and we loved it. I dearly loved giving back to the community, whether it was reading books to the elderly at St George's Nursing Home, building facilities for Rotary's Disability Accessible Camp Getaway, or cooking up a sausage storm at the local Bunnings. Community volunteering became a big part of my life when I was younger. So, when I was pre-selected for Kororoit, I hoped to bring that same community ethos and sense of family that had been so welcoming to me as a young person into the campaign. I have been blessed with the love and the support of the many Kororoit branch members who really got behind the campaign, and they're here tonight, thank you. It makes me excited that our branch meetings are thriving. We had 72 at the last branch meeting. Doesn't happen normally. The Labor Party is not just about people who get elected to Parliament House. It's our members and their love for our community. They keep members of Parliament honest, they remind us who we are working for, and I thank all of the branchies who are here tonight. I know you will keep me grounded and down to earth. I know that I can also rely on this from my comrades in the trade union movement too. Thriving branches and a strong, outspoken industrial wing makes Labor strong. It ensures that we govern with honesty for working people. I am, and I always will be, a committed unionist. I was first employed by the Rail, Tram and Bus Union in 2010 as the Industrial and Women's Officer. Secretary Trevor Dobbin gave me my first gig in the union movement, and I will forever be grateful for Trev's early support. Working for the union, though, is not for the faint-hearted. I was a young female organiser in a very male-dominated industry. One of my earliest memories was when I rolled up to Eagate, which is just off Dynon Road under the overpass. It was the middle of winter, it was freezing cold, it was 10 p.m. at night, and it was very, very dark. The boys were about to start night shift and they were gearing up to have their meeting outside. It started raining. So one of the guys suggested, hey, let's meet in the men's dunnies. I looked at my delegate and I said, rightio, into the men's change rooms we go. So that's how I conducted my first meeting for the infrastructure division, in the men's change rooms in front of 150 blue-collar blokey blokes, of which some of them are here tonight. When I was asked to nominate as the Rail, Tram and Bus Union State Secretary, Darren Galea and Grant Wainwright, both whom are here tonight, championed me. Thank you guys for your support, your encouragement and your ongoing solidarity. It'll never be forgotten. I became the youngest state secretary of a trade union in Victorian history and the first woman secretary of the Rail, Tram and Bus Union. The support of my colleagues, delegates and members meant the world for me. My years at the Rail, Tram and Bus Union were transformative, not only for me, but also for the union. As some of you know, we didn't hesitate to stop trains and trams to ensure that hardworking members got the recognition that they deserved, to secure improved amenities for staff or support fairer working hours in infrastructure and maintenance. During this time, I was proud to be recognised for my work alongside my team by winning the Jenny George ACTU Award and the Zalda Deprano Trades Hall Award. But always, it was the recognition from the job, not the stuff that came with the shiny medal or the title, that meant the absolute most to me. At times, my pursuit of members' best interests brought me into conflict with people in this House. But being a good union official is not always about making the government of the day feel comfortable, even when it's your party in office. I always knew that the decisions that I was making were in pursuit of the best outcome for our members, and they were made with the backing of the collective. Now, we won some and we lost some. We secured better pay and conditions for members, but the trains and the trams still remain in private hands. The privatisation of our rail networks, like the privatisation of our energy supply, has not been in the best interests of rail workers, the commuters, or the state. Whether it's hospitals, whether it's schools, whether it's electricity or transport, I believe that when it comes to essentials, the state really is the best and the most responsible service provider. I've got plenty of scar tissue from my time in the union. It was tough, but it was also the making of me as an advocate and a leader. The RTBU is my extended family. Thank you especially to Darren, to Grant, to Amadeo Deprano, to Brian Evans, Victor Moore, Caitlin Brown, Joe Dennis, Phil Altieri and Darren Lamont for always having my back then and now. To Vic Sharma, congratulations on your election. I am so thrilled and I can't wait to see where you take the union next. Thank you to my national RTBU comrades who got behind my leadership as the first female national president of the RTBU as well. Our National Secretary, who's flown here from Sydney, Mark Diamond, is here tonight. Thank you for all of your support as well, brother. Working for the Rail, Tram and Bus Union also brought me into a cabal of fierce advocates from other unions. I would not be here without their support, friendship and loyalty. As anyone close to me knows, these things matter greatly to me. I'm as solid and as good as my word because at the end of the day, that's all you've got. I'm grateful to have found fellow travellers. So thank you to Johnny Setka. I think it's your first time in the gallery, isn't it? Christy Kane, the Miles brothers, Decca, Robbie, Elias, Elizabeth Deutsch, and all of the CFMEU delegates, young activists who got behind me in the Kororoit campaign. To Lloyd Williams, to Paul Healy, to Kate Marshall, James McQuinney and the entire HACSU team. To Steve Hallen and Nicole McPherson at the FSU, to former Secretary John Berger, Mike McNess and Mem Suleiman at the TW, and of course to Shane Stevens and the mighty MUA who literally worked tirelessly to see me elected. To all of the members of the Victorian Trades Hall Council in which I've served as a former Vice President, as well as other unions that I have not mentioned tonight. I see Earl Setches, Michael Donovan. Thank you for your support along the journey. To every trade union, please know that my door is always open to any union colleagues. I also would not be here without the sisterhood. I've been lucky to have been supported by some incredible women. Joan Kerner, of course, who went from being my hero to a friend and a champion, and the late Lynn Kosky, two great Labor women. Sadly, both of them lost to cancer. There have been too many women in our ranks who have fallen victim to this disease, including my late great friend, Jane Garrett, and still more who have bravely battled it whilst holding office. While I am in this place, I intend to dedicate time to supporting women's health and the prevention of women's cancers. Of course, the Labor sisterhood is more than the women who become members of Parliament. A huge shout out to the Emily's Angels, the incredible network of women dedicated to lifting women in politics up, and to my own Labor sisterhood, who gave me both time and money generously and helped out on the campaign. Lisa Zanetta, Trish and Amanda Crossan, Leonie Morgan, Marie Overall, Zainab Yeilhurst, Pamela Anderson, Kim Travers, and my local women from Kororoit, Jen, Jess, Cass and Marlene. The list does go on. Extra big kisses to Tanya Kovac, a true Labor feminist legend and gender equality warrior. Thank you for reminding me of the power of women's friendship in politics. To the entire Kororoit campaign team and the campaign committee, thank you. You were all so welcoming and there was no end to the hours that you put in. It literally took a village and there are far too many of you to name. It was an organic campaign, a campaign team that came directly from the heart of Kororoit. And I know that you're all here tonight out in the hall. Thank you for all that you did. Our Kororoit volunteers spent hours putting up corflutes, signs around the area, door knocking, street stalling, pre-poll, and then of course there was election day. To current and former members of Parliament who helped me on the campaign trail with fundraisers and office openings, thank you for your wisdom, your encouragement and your support. My name, Luba, means love. I believe in the power of love in politics. Love and understanding move so much more in this world than hate and resentment. So to the big loves of my life. To my mother, thank you for your belief in me and your constant love. You made me the woman that I am today. To my big brother, Robbie, it will always be you and I against the world. Your shoulders are so broad, so many rely on you. You're a rock to so many in tough times, as you have been to me. You truly are a great man. To my sister-in-law, Natalie, who has a heart of gold and love to give. To Uncle Ken, the gentlest of all souls. After Nana died, Mum took over as your care and champion, but the truth is, while we gave you a home, it was you who has always been healing us. And to my gorgeous girl gang, outside of politics, Becky, Jess and Taryn, thank you for keeping me grounded, making me laugh, and not letting me take myself too seriously. Finally, to my husband, Ben, I will forever be grateful for the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced us both to slow down in our busy lives, you running BGH and me a trade union. We were friends for a long time before becoming husband and wife, and I believe that this is the secret ingredient to our partnership. Thank you for literally making me pack lunches every day during pre-poll, for learning the words to solidarity forever, for making me a stepmum to your 3 beautiful children who are here tonight, Audrey, Max and Chloe, and for always believing me. You made me the happiest woman in the world a couple of weeks ago, marrying me before our family and friends. People may be surprised about a lefty trade union official marrying the son of a former Liberal Tasmanian Premier. But we both believe deeply in public service. Like Ben's dad, Robin, I want to devote my life to making the lives of Victorians, in his case Tasmanians, better. I respect everyone in this Parliament, as I know that you all want to make Victoria the best place to live. We all have common ground. We need to work together to make lasting changes. That is what matters to the Victorian people, and it is what matters to the people of Victoria, and especially Kororoit, who I give my biggest love. Thank you for the privilege and the honour that you have afforded me by electing me as the local member. Thank you for believing in our shared vision of a fairer, welcoming and thriving state. Let's work together to make this place a loving place to live, to work and to play. Thank you.